Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Today's guest is Jeffrey Gitomer, King of Sales. Jeffrey is also the author of many books, including The Sales Bible and Customer Satisfaction is Worthless, Customer Loyalty is Priceless. In addition to his many books, Jeffrey has also written 24 featured columns for Entrepreneur Magazine, is the host of a podcast called Sell or Die, and runs the Gitomer Learning Academy. So if you want to learn some tips, tricks, and tools to increase your sales prowess, or just want to learn how to use multimedia to your advantage, then look no further.
Let me get my earpieces set. All right, and then
You look very professional, by the way.
Well, thank you. You know,
the library makes you look a hell of a lot smarter than you actually are.
Well, you know, I've got some good books in my library.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Jeffrey, thank you for joining us today. I have been looking forward to this. This actually is a landmark episode because this is the first episode we're actually doing on Zoom. We have video along with the audio. So I'm looking forward to this. I know at some point, you know, whenever you do something new, right, you kind of learn as you go, right? Just start moving and then finally.
No, don't you just start out knowing everything? That's how I grew up.
Exactly, right. Well, we're from the Northeast, so of course we knew everything, right?
Yeah.
We were smartasses to begin with.
Exactly. Anything that I teach you today would just be a review.
That's right. Well, you know, I realized that when I gave everybody the Zoom information, I gave all the people that I'm recording today the same information. And I guarantee someone's going to show up in the middle of this thing, testing their system and make sure they can get on.
Exactly.
And, they're going to interrupt. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into an opportunity for you to pitch them.
Okay, cool.
All right. So that's we're just going to roll with it. It's going to be like, hey, welcome to the show, Mark, or whoever actually joins in. So I was thinking about that last night. I was like, oh,
are we Facebook Living it? Or are we?
We are walking first. No, we're not Facebook Living it.
Oh,
that would be like the next. Is that my next step?
Of course.
Facebook Live at the same time?
Well, when we do a like the Monday motivation or Motivation Monday for our Sell or Die podcast, which everyone should subscribe to, we do it Facebook Live and then post it.
I love it.
All right. It's very effective because we get to talk to people.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. I used to do a thing every Thursday that we did consistently, and then it was like my entire schedule for the week was worked around the
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, I like doing these, but I don't want to be trapped into, you know, this particular time every single week.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good. I'll get the team on that. So Jeffrey, you know, look, I followed your work for a long time. I've been at your events. And one of the things that I really, really like about you, and I kind of feel like a kinship with you as well, is I say it how it is. And I'm not for everybody. And I know you're not for everyone as well. You know, you've got that direct approach. You don't beat around the bush. I mean, I remember sitting there and hearing you talk from the front of the stage saying, look, you know, you guys can basically be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do. But most of you aren't going to do the work. While you guys are out playing basketball or watching TV or going to a game, I'm writing books. You're goofing off.
I equate it to sometimes watching a game is okay. Watching TV is pretty much a waste. But I look at it as, what are you doing on Friday night and Saturday night? Are you going out drinking and, you know, investing some of your hard-earned money in a craft beer? Or are you trying to, you know, sober up and try to get to the next level ahead of your competitor who may be sitting at home trying to get ahead of you? Yeah. And I just had the discipline for it. Maybe it's because I started when I was older and I'd already sown those oats, so to speak. But I didn't start to write till I was in my 40s, nor did I start to speak till I was in my 40s. I dabbled in it before then, but I never like put the hammer down or put the pedal to the metal until I was until 1992. So I've been doing it for 25 years, and I know what to do, but I don't spend my time. I invest my time.
Yeah. And was there something that happened where it just kind of clicked? You woke up one day. Was it a divorce or some sort of painful event in your life that just said, hey, I've got to change things?
No, I read an article in the Charlotte in the Charlotte Observer about some guy who has a sales test. And then he asked people for answers, and then the following week he posted the answers, and they were total bullshit. So I called the paper and I said, not only are you so stupid that you believe this guy, but you printed the wrong information, and now thousands of salespeople are believing what they read, and they're going to do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the guy that wrote the article showed up at my office the next day, and the following Monday there was something written about me. And my phone literally was ringing off the hook. And I realized I had something, and it was time for me to write it. And I didn't get it in the Observer. They turned me down. But the Business Journal accepted me right away, and I'm still in Business Journals.
And you've been writing ever since. And what I love is if you go to your website, you've got an entire library of information, programs, books that you put together over a lifetime that's going to, when you and I are gone, those assets are going to continue to feed your family's family.
Keep in mind the names of personal development that you would know today are Dale Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill has about 20 hours of film. Dale Carnegie has 5 minutes that they can find. I'm sure there's more, but so far, and since he died in 1955, they've only been able to find 5 minutes of Dale Carnegie giving a speech or talking. And those companies have thrived and survived over that period of time, and I'm intending to do the same thing, but I'm going to have more than 1,000 hours of video content that people will be able to access literally anywhere, anytime, on demand, on their phone, on their desktop or laptop, or their tablet, and it will be able to inform them about what to do next, not just in sales, but in personal development and every form of loyalty. And, you name the topic, I've either written a book about it or recorded it.
Well, and what I love also is that, this stuff doesn't go out of style. You're not talking about the latest sales click funnel system,
Loyalty is not the flavor of the week. It's a lifetime commitment.
That's right. But, I think in some cases it's almost gone out of style. Customer service should never go out of style, but it seems
Correct.
so often so many businesses aren't even focusing on that. They just want an autoresponder, right?
They come and go. Yeah, that's true. I just got an autoresponder today, and I called the guy out on it. It's not what I want. I will tell you that we autorespond sometimes when someone pays us money and they want to know if they got a receipt or if we got the money. Yeah. So I'll autorespond for that. But then we're very personal and very responsive, no matter if we're selling 10 things or 1,000 things.
Yeah, and even if it's a small priced item, I had a client a couple of years ago, and they sold on Amazon. They sold very inexpensive exercise equipment, like water bottles and all kinds of different things. Mm-hmm. They had 40,000 customers, and he was trying to figure out how to get more customers. And I'm like, instead of trying to figure out how to get more customers, just work with the customers that you have, right?
I refer to it as a process called milk your own cows.
Yes.
People have a barn full of milk and full of cows, and the cows are full of milk, and it's dripping on the floor, and they walk right by them in the morning to try to get somebody new to milk their neighbor's cows. Big mistake.
Yeah, I said, well, just call up a few of them. He goes, what am I going to say? Just say, hi, I'm Bob. I'm the owner of a company. Thank you for being a loyal customer of ours. That's it.
Exactly.
They thought they were getting punked. They were freaked out. I said, do you think any of those people that you called would go anywhere to buy their equipment the next time? No, they're going to be like, I know Bob. He
exactly.
called me on a cell phone.
I think it's also interesting that airline companies call their programs loyalty programs when in fact they are forced loyalty programs. And if they would just, it's like a perk. It's a premium. It's not a loyalty program. Their marketing team came up with that. I'm not loyal to American Airlines. I just happen to use American Airlines because they're in Charlotte and they're 96% of the flights. What else am I going to do?
Right.
Fly to Cleveland to change a plane? I'm not going to do that. So I'm not loyal. I'm forced to be loyal.
Yeah. When it comes to salesmen, saleswomen, we're all looking as entrepreneurs to find, what's that secret recipe? What's that silver bullet that, guarantees success when we go to make hires?
Well, if you're a manager and you're looking to make a hire, you want a smart, self-starting person with a past history of success who's got a great attitude. That's it. Smart, self-starting, great attitude, past history of success. You hire all those people, you're going to be fine. But from a standpoint of if you are a salesperson and you're listening to this, if you don't believe in your heart that the customer is better off having purchased from you, get out of your job now. So those are the criteria. That's as New York fast as I possibly can be.
Okay, interview over. Great.
Right. And no, they also have to be willing to learn. You have to be coachable. Yeah. You have to be willing to learn because they're maybe your boss has a better style or a different nuance than your past boss has. And you obviously learn from your bosses, both good and bad. Well, I interviewed a guy the other day and he said that, the first best person I learned from was my best boss. The second best person I learned from was my worst boss. It's so interesting that most people don't take the lesson. They just get pissed off about it.
Yeah. I went through a hellish time when I worked in New York. I worked for an absolute tyrant. Matter of fact, he hit me 2 or 3 times.
Oh, cool.
He didn't strike me in the face.
With anything? Like with a book or anything?
No, with his fist.
Oh.
With his fist. He hit me in like the leg or the arm. It was a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
I made him mad, pissed him off. And one time I really deserved it. I can't go into details about that, but I really did deserve it. He tried to fire me several times. I just said, I'm not leaving. I've got work to do. He goes, you're fired. I've got too much work to do today. Fire me tomorrow.
Yeah.
I drove him nuts. That's probably why he hit me twice. But the point is, I learned so much from him because this guy, first of all, he was a tyrant. He was a horrible boss, but this guy just never quit. I mean, he just wouldn't let go. If we lost a deal, he would call up the chairman and say, fire the person that just didn't give us the deal. He was relentless. And I think you can always learn something from anybody if you just step back and look and see what the lesson is.
I received an email the other day, and I can't really name it, but it's the 3 questions that all salespeople should ask their interviewer. And it was done by a person who was sitting someplace in an office somewhere in, I don't know where the hell they were, but it wasn't New York. And it was obvious that this person was a writer, not a salesperson. And they asked questions pertaining to money and benefit. And I wrote back. I never, usually I just read stuff and I'll say, oh, good or oh, bad. This one I had to respond back to and challenge her. I said, look, you've obviously never sold in New York City. So why don't you get an apartment in New York for a month or 2 and cold call and see what that's like. And then get a job in New York City managing 20 salespeople and see what that's like. And then write the questions. It was phenomenal to me how New York is the epicenter of learning what you need to know now. Whether it's good or bad, whether it's legal or illegal, you need to know the lessons in order to bring yourself forward. You need to know what to do and what not to do, and most of that is based on who you've worked with. If you're a dad or you're a mom, you learn how to parent from your parents. You kind of remember what happened, or you watch other people parent and you go, oh, I'm never going to do that. Or, wow, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I think that there's a learning process that's involved here, and you have to know the lessons and document the lessons. And one of the reasons I became a writer is that I was documenting all kinds of stuff, and I thought, hey, other people can use this. And that's how I started to write. I literally began to write by saying, what do you do when the customer says, I want to think about it?
It's the whole reason I started this podcast. I didn't want to write. I didn't want to type. So I said, I love to talk. So let's just talk about it.
Yeah, it's funny to me. People get writer's block, but they never get talker's block. So I challenge people to just write like you talk. If you read my books, I speak my books. Literally, I speak them. And the last book, I did every bit of it on Drag and Dictate. I guess I have the gift or the ability to dictate in a column or make sense, but that's how to write so people will read it. You like my books because they're readable. Yeah. Well, they're readable because they're speakable.
And they're memorable. I mean, look.
Oh, they're damn good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
The little gold book. Guess what color it is?
It's gold. Right.
Look how big it is. There's not a lot of fluff in here.
No, there's no fluff. I edit out all the bullshit. And because I'm the writer and I have an editor, but I also edit myself, I make certain that everything that's in there is something that I do or would do, that I would teach to my children, or, it has to be transferable in a way where the other guy says, I get it, I agree with it, I think I can do it, I'm willing to try it. That makes the concept in the book, whatever it is, whether it's sales or networking or attitude or any kind of personal development, they have to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this. And that's how I write.
Yeah, I worked in New York and lived in New York. And a matter of fact, the first job that I was telling you about, the tyrant that I worked for, we sold to private equity firms. Now, when you're selling to private equity firms, you learn to behave in a certain manner. You learn
and dress in a certain manner.
Dress in a certain manner, absolutely. I mean, it took me a couple of years to figure out, the tie situation. Finally, it was just like, you got to go to Hermes. That's it. Don't buy anything.
Exactly.
Right?
It costs a few extra bucks, but that's where you go.
That's right. I talked to my boss. Said, which one should I buy? He goes, it doesn't matter. If you're there, it'll be fine.
People will know. It's funny. People are very fashion conscious in New York City, both men and women.
Yeah.
Other places you kind of, and maybe the other coast too, people in San Francisco and LA are pretty fashion conscious as well, or Philly or Washington, D.C. But in the middle, it's not as important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going out to do a seminar in Des Moines, Iowa. They don't really care what I wear as long as I show up and give valuable information.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're profitability consultants, and we changed the attire that we started to wear, and we made sure that we had a sport jacket. Even if we had jeans on, we had a sport jacket on. And it's interesting because the CEOs, the way they responded back to us, it was like an instant change. We no longer had to overcome that first perception of, okay,
who the hell are you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And back to New York, the first time I set up my first company, it was with a private equity firm. They gave me 20 minutes to set up the company, tell them what I was going to do, name it, and come up with the pricing structure. 20 minutes.
Cool.
It's like, go to the conference room, go finish it.
Perfect. I would challenge you with one thing with your profitability company, because I've been thinking about it.
Love it.
I would take in $50, $100 bills, have them folded in half in my pocket, and take it. I'd sit down with the CEO of the company, male or female, and say, "Hi, I'm here to talk to you today about this." Pull the money out, stick it on the table, and I want to find out. My main goal today is to find out how much of this you're keeping and how much of this you're throwing in the trash can. Fair enough?
I like it.
And that, I mean, people can immediately identify with a stack of hundreds.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I love that idea. Jeffrey, done.
Cool.
I remember we were
obviously you have to have the $5,000. You know what I mean? You can't.
I've got the $5,000. I might have to take out a loan, but I'll get the $5,000.
Okay, cool.
It's interesting. We were trying to close a deal with a PE firm. And every time we went in there, we brought in the big book and all the slideshow, and we had the whole
team. Your deck, as it were.
Deck, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
your stack now. It's called a stack, by the way.
Stack. All right. It was a deck back then, and our overhead projector. Okay, I'm
Ooh.
No, wasn't that bad. But we kept doing the same thing over and over again, and we just weren't getting any results. So this was about the 6th time we're pitching this firm over a period of about 4 years. We show up to the meeting, and we have our nice, they weren't leather bound, but they were bound in the little spiral thing. Very nice, well done, pretty sizable. And we bought a bunch of waste paper baskets, little office waste paper baskets. And we had enough for their entire team, which was 5 or 6 people. So we show up and we take the proposal in the waste paper basket and push it across the table. And they're like, what is this? Well, I said, look, the last 5 times we were here, they ended up in the waste paper basket. So we figured we just save you the hassle, and we put them in there already. We walked out with the deal.
Yeah, that's perfect. What you did is you walked in different than anybody else.
Yeah.
I pitched a very large company one time where they had reviewed 8 people and couldn't select any of them. They wanted 3 more people, and I was one of the 3 that they asked to participate. And at the end of literally at the end of my presentation, they chose me. And I went into this room where we're going to finalize the negotiation for the deal. And I said, look, before we start, I'm the 11th guy. What made you pick me? And the answer was literally universal. You weren't buttoned down. Like I was real with them. When I went around the room, I looked them in the eye. I kibitzed with them so that they got that I was a real human being, and it was about customer service and customer loyalty, and they got that if I could make their people feel a lot better about who they were dealing with, that they would do it better. And that was the deal. They wanted to have a little fun.
We were talking about attitude, and I think it's so important. It's so important with your employees that you're looking to hire. And then just that energy that it exudes when you go out into the marketplace. There was a person that worked for me for years that was brilliant, did a great job, but there was just something that I just couldn't put my finger on. I finally realized they just had a shitty attitude. And they pissed me off all the time, but yet they were doing a good job work-wise. What are some of the keys to developing a great attitude?
Well, let me be a little bit self-aggrandizing for the moment. I wrote the book that you held up, the little gold book of Yes Attitude. There's a new edition of it out now. I'll probably have to send you an autographed copy of it since I'm bragging about it. But I think that people have to study attitude in order to understand why they're positive and why they're negative. And I deemed it yes attitude because when something great happens, you don't scream positive. When something great happens, you scream yes, or some form of yes. And that's what the premise of the book is. And if people don't dedicate themselves to some kind of education with respect to their attitude, then they're going to watch negative things and talk negative things. You sit down next to somebody and they'll tell you why their shoes didn't fit, or why their train was late, or why their airplane was 4 hours late and it was raining. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear what went right with the day, and that's not going to make a lot of newscasts. So I ignore those things, and I try to concentrate on what will earn me something, or what will help other people, or a random act of kindness, or making somebody smile. Those are the things that I focus on, and some people just need to take a happy pill. That guy you're talking about needed to take a happy pill. And you could just give him a thing of M&Ms and go, listen, dude, you're not smiling enough, you're not happy enough. Here's some M&Ms. Consider them happy pills. And every time you're in a pissed off mood, take one to remind yourself that you're in a pissed off mood. And when the jar's empty, come get me. I have more.
I like it. What about selling mistakes? What do you see out there first of all, I'm gonna preface this saying professional salespeople, which I think is a very small group of people. What are the mistakes that
I'm a friendly sales guy. I'm not as professional as I would profess to be. I walk into some place and I want to be friends with them.
Yeah, yes, but you have honed your craft. You have honed you show up in a genuine, real way.
Agreed, and I'm relaxed.
And you're absolutely relaxed. And from what I've seen, I haven't been on the other side of a sales pitch, or you trying to sell something to me, but I see that you're always trying to figure out how to meet the needs of the people that you're talking to.
There's a reason. Yep. My sales mantra is people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. And if I can create a buying atmosphere, which you do through asking questions, not giving a pitch, then you immediately turn the conversation to one where the customer is the proactive one, the customer is the responsive one, and the customer is the forthcoming one with respect to needs. The more you pitch, the less you can know about the other person, whether they even like you or need you or have a feeling for you. And why are you selling me this anyway if you don't even know what I need?
Yeah.
Or more importantly, why I need it. If you know why I need it, then the whole presentation turns into a question festival that ends up in a sale.
It was fascinating. About a month and a half ago, someone asked me to come into their office. They had some issues with their company. They wanted to hire us. For about an hour and a half, they spoke. I just listened. And then in 3 sentences, I just recapped what they said to me. That was it. And they said, "You're hired."
Yeah, I learned something early on. People would call me for a seminar, and I would say, "This is really amazing. Let's set another call, and can you please send me like 4 or 5 bullet points, maybe even 10 bullet points of what you want the audience to walk away with, and let's see if we meet each other's needs." What they would do is they would send me an email of exactly how they wanted to be sold. I literally exactly. And all I had to do is, say, "I can do this and I can customize it for you." And they'll say, "Okay, great, you're hired."
Done.
Once you know their motive, once you understand their reason, and more importantly, once you understand what the outcome needs to be. People don't focus on outcome as much as they should. What happens after I buy the car? What happens after I install the air conditioner? What happens after I own the life insurance policy? That's the most important part of the deal. What happens upon ownership or after ownership? And that's where you have to focus the sale. That creates the buying atmosphere, by the way.
Yeah, and you know what I find also, Jeffrey, is that many times the client or prospective client doesn't understand what they're truly after. They haven't dug down deep enough. And it's all through questions that you start to discover really what their motivations are and what their outcomes are.
If I was going to sell a home to somebody, that's a pretty big sale. Sometimes it's $500,000, $1 million. But whatever it is, the real estate person, I don't know whether you've dealt with many real estate people or not, but they're the smartest people in the world. They're actually smarter than car salespeople, if that's possible. But don't take my word for it. Just ask them. And they will try to ask what are known as qualifying questions. Do you have a mortgage? Are you pre-approved for a mortgage? Do you have a home for sale? Like, what are you asking me that for? Well, I'm just trying to help you. No, you're not. You're trying to find out about my wallet. Don't try to find out about my wallet. Why don't you try to find out about me? So if you came to me and said, Jeffrey, we're looking for a home, I would say, Thor, can you take a couple minutes and tell me about the bedroom that you grew up in?
Wow.
Now think about that question, because you know about it right now. If your parents are still alive, you're thinking about that, or if they passed on, you're thinking about that. If you have a sibling, you're thinking about the fights that you had in the bedroom. And I'm going to ask you if that's the kind of bedroom that you'd like for your kids. Whoa. Now you have to take a cup of coffee from me because you're emotionally exhausted, and we've only been talking to each other for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I went there, and you were just giving it as an example.
Yeah, of course. Then I'm going to give you a list of things there's 20 things on a paper with check boxes next to them, and one to the man and one to the woman. And I'm going to say, please check on here what you have to have in a house. And then give me the paper back. Don't look at the other guy. This is a test. What do you have to have? And then now I'm armed with two things. Number one, emotional engagement, and number two, what they're hoping for. So I'm not going to take them on a wild goose chase. I think you might like this home. No. This home has what you're looking for. And I'm going to ask questions that would engage the other person rather than try to tell the other person and show them how smart I am. For example, you walk into the bedroom and you say, this is the master bedroom. It's 17 by 19. And I'll say, really? I have a tape measure on me. Let's see how big it really is. Because if it's not 17 by 19, you're fired. Mm-hmm. Or the salesperson could say, where will the television go? Will all your furniture fit in here? Are you going to buy new furniture? Then I'm going to go to the closet, the most important part of a home to a woman. And I'm not going to say this is a walk-in closet like duh. I'm going to say, will all your clothing fit in here? Because if it won't fit in there, the woman has automatically checked this house off the list. Correct?
Yes.
So in 2 questions, I'm going to know whether this is a home for them or not.
What do they need? What do they want?
Bingo. And how's that going to affect them? So now it's a salesperson. A, I'm smarter. I'm going to make sure that my use of time is reduced to something that only they will accept. And I don't care about their budget. They'll spend another $100,000 if I can show them what they want.
Right.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that. It's easy to talk about it from a real estate perspective or from a car perspective because they're big ticket items.
I think you've missed your calling.
Yeah, I should be in sales.
A whole other career in the real estate market.
Right. It's funny.
They're going to be calling you. Jeff, we need you, man. We need you.
It's funny to me how unqualified salespeople are who try to qualify the buyer. Whoa, I'm going to tweet that. Twitter.
Is it the real estate market calling? Did you
No,
sell
it's
a house?
not. Hold on, here we go. It's amazing to me how many unqualified salespeople try to ask questions of a buyer to qualify them.
I love that.
Period.
So if you happen to hearing this instead of seeing the actual video, Jeffrey right now is making a note in his phone.
No, I'm tweeting it.
Oh, you're tweeting it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love it.
And you just made me record that. Hold on.
That's what you got to do.
Hashtag Gitomer, hashtag qualify, hashtag sales. Boom, gone.
I love it.
So, I mean, you have to look for that opportunity. Number one, I've preserved what I said.
Yeah.
But number two, I've also sent it out to 112,000 people.
Right.
That gets response, that gets retweets, and that gets me new followers.
You know, speaking of which, your business has evolved over the years. Technology has changed.
Yep.
You've evolved.
Oh, my gosh.
What are some of the things that you've seen that have really been game changers? Because what I find is, especially some of the younger entrepreneurs, they're always into what's new and hot, right? And they forget about some of the tried and true and the things that really work over time. What changes have you seen, and what are some of the things that you used to do that might actually be some good strategies today?
Well, let me begin by saying that old guys don't want to do what young guys do, and vice versa.
Yeah.
The young guy doesn't even want to pick up the phone. He wants to email. And the old guy wants to pick up the phone, and he doesn't want to go online and tweet. Or he'll be on LinkedIn, but he doesn't know what to do with it. And I think that there has to be a blend of that. Give me the guy in his 30s or 40s. That's going to be my best salesperson, because he or she is doing both.
Yeah.
They know how to pick up the phone, and they know how to go online and at least be, proactive about it. The problem is that there's not enough blend. There's not enough blend of old and new. The person who's a young person, I don't want to tag anybody as a millennial or as a Gen Z, Y, or X. What I want to do is tag them as people, men and women, and tell them that they have to be Googleable, and they have to have a presence in their community or in their industry, that it shows reputation when someone does Google them. So their online presence has a lot to do with their face-to-face presence. And that gets documented. If they give a speech someplace, if they write a book or some kind of white paper, or if they belong to an organization and they're a leader, those things are going to show up on Mother Google. And if you post on LinkedIn, that's going to show up on Mother Google. If you have a Facebook Live video, that's going to show up on Mother Google. And you have to dominate the first few pages of Google in order to be seen as reputable, because, Thor, if I come to visit you, aren't you going to Google me?
Absolutely.
Of course. Everyone Googles everyone. That's part of life's lesson right now. No one uses the Yellow Pages anymore. They use Google. And you have to be Googleable to get into somebody's office. The worst thing you can say when you get into someone's office is, let me tell you a little bit about my business. Like, dude, I already Googled you. That's why I'm allowing you to sit down. Why are you telling me, why are you trying to buy it back? So I think that there's, from a standpoint of young person or old person, I'm going to tell you to do what somebody 40 years to your senior or your junior does. That's probably the best advice I can give you.
Yeah, stand out.
Yeah.
Do what other people are not doing in your space, in your lane.
And when someone does put your name into Google and hit return, they get a response that says, wow, this is someone I really want to meet. Or not.
Or not, exactly. What about speaking? How has that changed over the last 10 years? What's happening? A lot of people listening to this show want to develop themselves as an expert in their particular lane, and speaking is part of that. How has the speaking circuit or the speaking lane changed? I know, first of all, congratulations. I didn't realize that you were an NSA
Hall of Fame speaker. Yes, I am. 2008. Yes, I am.
Yeah,
but here's the deal on that. If you don't customize your talk, you're dead. There's no more thing as an after-dinner speaker or a motivational speaker. You have to be a germane speaker. You have to be an informative speaker, and you have to be an inspirational speaker, not a motivational speaker. And it's funny that when I look in the National Speakers Association catalog, the biggest category is motivational speaker, and I refuse to put my name there. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I'll motivate people, but that only lasts for a day or two. Yeah. I want to inspire people so they can go home and motivate themselves. That's the key. But the industry has changed in a way that, for the last 10 years, there weren't very many conferences where you could speak. And there was a huge shaking out of the industry. And I had to give customized talks or no one would hire me. And now that the economy is experiencing a sort of a rebound, my reputation has prevailed.
And when you say customized, drill down on that a little bit for us.
Sure. If I'm talking to an industrial supply company, they don't want to hear about life insurance sales in New York City. You have to talk industrial supplies to industrial buyers and how they use it once they own it. And I have to go in not just with information. I try to create ideas for the other person so they can use them and turn them into money.
Just like you did earlier.
Right. That's my job.
Get $50, $100 bills, bring them out, put them on the table.
Bingo.
Yeah. It's one of the keys of anyone who works for our company is you've got to be a problem solver. It's one of my top needs in finding people. I'm always looking for people to solve problems. There's plenty of people that want to pontificate about stuff. We actually talked about not even including consultants in our name because what do most consultants do, right? They go in and say, hey, here's a kind of an idea that you guys should implement.
Hi, I'm a consultant. Do you have any birthday cakes that I can shit on?
That's right. I'll see you later.
Right.
They don't solve anything. They just kind of give you some ideas.
And listen, that's not all consultants. There's a lot of consultants that are really, really good. But to say that you are, I'd rather have somebody say I'm a no bullshit consultant. I'm an answers only. I'm a problem solving consultant. Consultant is only part of the word. What kind of consultant are you? And when my column first appeared in the Charlotte Business Journal, March the 23rd, 1992, on the 24th, I got a call from a guy because my phone number appeared in my bio. And he said, what kind of consulting do you do? And I said, hands-on, no bullshit. And he said, how soon can you be here? And I said, 20 minutes. And I went to this guy's office and I walked away with a retainer check for $1,000. And I went back to the Business Journal to the publisher, Mark Etheridge, who's still a good friend of mine. And I showed him the check. And I go, this is what's going to happen in this column. People are going to call me from all over the universe. And they did.
I think you ought to trademark that one right there. Yeah. Hands-on, no bullshit consulting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very small lane.
It's a customized, personalized lane. And because I've been doing that kind of thing for more than 25 years, it is a prerequisite to building any kind of a relationship. The more value you provide somebody, the more likely they are to show up and continue to do business with you.
And I think you got to continue to tell them the truth. I find so many people want to hire people that just kind of support them and kind of yes men or yes women. Mm-hmm. I think you've got to have the balls to stand up and tell them like it is.
Some people fear for their job, though. Some people don't want to rock the boat because they don't want to upset the apple cart because they don't want to lose their position.
Then you're not doing your job. Well, if somebody pays you to tell, to advise them, and you tell them a half truth or a watered down version, I think you're doing them a disservice. I think it's stealing.
Yeah, we have very open meetings in our place, as you can imagine. Political correctness is not part of our
what's that word?
Daily routine.
Political correctness. I'm not quite sure what the definition of that is.
I don't know. It's like not hurting anybody else's feelings or something. I don't know. But I just grew up in a different era. We weren't politically correct. We pretty much said what we wanted to say. And Northeasterners, come on. You cold call somebody in New York City, up yours is a greeting. And so I learned very quickly that I had to be able to come to grips with facts and reality in under a minute.
Yeah.
And I got good at it. Just like anything else, if you try it enough, you get good at it. And that's where I hang my hat.
Yeah, and I think if you truly care for someone, telling them the truth, even if it's not something that they want to hear, I think is really loving them more so than just, trying to make them feel good at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you also have to have backup. One of the things we talked about at the outset is I have a learning academy, the Gitomer Learning Academy, and I have books and whatever. And people will watch that after my talk is done or after my interview is done or after just, to try to hook on to new information that they can use to succeed. And you have to have something when you're done. You can't just say, thanks, it's been real, it's been nice, but it hasn't been real nice. You have to have something that will help them reinforce. Because if you're good as a speaker, people want more. Okay, well, what else you got? Well, I have all kinds of stuff. So I judge by the back of the room if I sell some books, what the level of interest is. And I talk to the decision makers at the company to try to get them to buy longer term answers for their people, not solutions, but answers.
Tell us a little bit about the Academy.
It is predominantly video. It is predominantly sales and personal development. It's everything from attitude to close the sale. It's trust. It's networking. Everything that I've done in any one of my books. But there's power lessons that a sales manager can use as a 5-minute lesson in a sales meeting. I recommend, for example, that they send it to their team on Friday to watch over the weekend and then discuss how they can customize it on Monday. But there's all kinds of fun things in there, and it's not X-rated, but it's certainly R-rated in many cases, to where you have to be an adult to take it and not be too pissed off about real-world information. It's exceptionally real-world. If you like me, you're going to love the Academy. If you don't like me, you're probably not going to like the Academy as well. And that's those are the things that we really focus on. And if you really want to find out how to like me, just come on our podcast, Sell or Die. For those of you watching video, it's right behind me. I do it with my partner, Jen Gluckow, and we every Tuesday we have a meeting. On Monday, we have Motivation Monday. On Thursday, we have extras. There's all kinds of things that we have that go online. And this month, we're going to pass 50,000 downloaders, shooting for 150.
Wow.
Man, it's amazing. And part of it's for nothing. It's there for nothing so that people will want more.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to have, when you do have more, people go to it. What do you find? So many people, I call it shelf help, right? I mean, I've got a library back here. I actually do read. And I just don't.
But shelf help is a real good name. That's a great name. It's shelf help that you haven't turned into self-help.
Right. So, I mean, but so many people do that and they don't execute on it. What do you think keeps the people from actually doing something, executing on it versus just, they're interested in it? I always talk about, interested versus being committed.
Alcohol and television. You can't read after 3 beers, but you can watch television. So you read a page or two and you go, oh shit, I'm going to have a beer. And then you sit back in your easy chair and you get too easy and you're done. So you either commit to it or you don't. But there's no sort of pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And you're either committed or you're not. And the best people I know are the people that are committed.
Do you think there's a personality trait in those that are truly committed versus those that are not? Is there a way that we can, when we're looking for great people to join our team, how do we find the committed ones versus the interested ones?
You ask one question. Tell me about your last boss. And that will give you the attitude that they have in life, not just towards the last boss. He didn't understand me. They pushed me too far. Next. Or you say, he had a lot of great qualities and he had a lot of qualities that I learned from. And I'm glad that I'm not there anymore because I need a place to be more successful. That's the kind of guy I want. You?
Yeah, I love that. I guess I passed that test. It was like, ex-boss used to hit me, but I actually learned a lot.
Exactly. You didn't hit me that hard. Right.
It's like, man up. Okay. It was just, it's punched to the arm. So what? It hurt for a little bit.
Yeah. That's funny. But in New York, it's expected. It's a good thing it wasn't a shovel in the face.
Yeah. And it was a little different time. It was back in the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of what went on.
Yeah. We live in a tiptoe world right now.
Yeah.
I mean, people are tiptoeing around who they voted for, what their gender is, what their preferences are. I mean, it's a crazy world. And, my favorite color, I guess, for the next few years is going to be plaid, because I don't want to talk about red or blue. I want to talk about green. And if I'm talking about green, I'm talking about money. Everyone understands that language. Everyone understands the language of money. But I don't need to be political in order to be able to climb that ladder.
No. I think there's money to be made in whichever, who's ever in office, you can figure out a way. I don't care what's getting in my way. It was funny. I was with my daughter earlier today, and we were talking about something. And I said, I've got a very important meeting coming up on Friday. That's, could be a 7-figure adjustment in a good way. And I said, but we got a couple of hurdles to get over. And he's like, oh, that's too bad. I was like, look, 7-figure deals don't come along without hurdles. It's just part of the thing that happens with deals. It's life. You just learn to keep jumping. And when they throw up another one, you jump again. Sometimes you might duck them. You might go around them. But what you got to do?
And if you don't get over them, it's over. People, because I'm so direct, people go, well, obviously you're a chauvinist. I'm like, I have 4 daughters and 4 granddaughters and a girlfriend and 2 dogs that are female. I'm a solid 11 female family. Don't tell me that I don't know how to talk to women or treat women. Please don't tell me that. I mean, women rule my world, and I'm grateful for them, and I'm happy that I get a chance to influence them in a way, from my perspective, that will allow them to be or do anything they want on this planet. And if somebody's so sensitive that they can't take one word one way or the other, it's time to become a dog catcher or something, or work as a clerk somewhere in a candy store. At least things are sweet there. And our world is way too sensitive.
Yeah, I agree. Man, where did 45 minutes go already?
47.
47. I love it. 47. You got 48 minutes.
Right.
I want to jump into some of the things that you have. You talked a little bit about the academy. I know you have some other things, the podcast, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I want to talk about some other things that you have in your arsenal, because it truly is an arsenal. I went to your Wikipedia page. It looks like a catalog for self-development and sales. Yeah. I mean, like, all it needed was hyperlinks.
People go, wow, you have a Wikipedia page? Like, they're free. All you have to do is fill in the blanks. Right. We actually monitor my Wikipedia page, because anybody can enter anything they want.
Yeah.
And we look to that as some people go, Jeffrey Gitomer Wiki and hit return. And I want them to know history of what's happened and what hasn't happened, and to be as honest and as open about it as I possibly can. And you'd be amazed at how many people will read it. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I learned things about you that I didn't know. But before we dive into some of that, the other materials that you have and the other programs that you have, is if you had 3 minutes just to disseminate kind of everything that you've learned in your life up to this point. I know you can't do that, but what are some of the things that stick out that, are just, I'll give you one of mine. A mentor once told me, hell on earth would be to meet the man or woman you could have become.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that always is stuck with me. That's something that I wake up and that's, either a nightmare or a dream, right? But it motivates me. It inspires me to be better version of myself today.
I'll throw you a couple of things.
Yeah. So go ahead.
People will rain on your parade because they have no parade of their own. Number 2, all things being equal, people want to do business with their friends. All things being not quite so equal, people still want to do business with their friends. Number 3, if you make a sale, you earn a commission. If you make a friend, you can earn a fortune. And if you can make them laugh, you can make them buy. If you take those 4 mantras out into the street, you're going to make a lot of money. And I talk about the first sale that's made as a salesperson. If you can't sell yourself or get to be liked by the other person, you're never going to make the sale. When I wrote the little teal book of trust, the opening mantra is, if they like you and they believe you and they have confidence in you and they trust you, then they may buy from you. And I'll ask people what the most important thing is, like, believe, confidence, or trust, and they'll all say trust, and they're all wrong. It's like. If you don't have likability, you're never going to get to trust ability. And that's, those are the secrets. They're not tough. They're not tough. People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. They're not tough. If you're interested in me and you go to just email me, Jeffrey@Gitomer.com, I'll send you my retweetables book, which will have half of my mantras in there. It's one tweet every day, but it's 365 of my best tweets. And it's not a tabletop book; it's an ebook. Maybe one day it'll be a tabletop book if we refine it a little bit, but there are things you can use. Retweet me to start your own Twitter account, because in the front of this book is also how to tweet. And, well, that's easy for you to say, Jeffrey. No, it's not easy for me to say. I started with one person to follow me. And I figured out how to get a bunch of people to follow me. And it's working. So far, it's working.
How many? 112,000?
Yeah, somewhere in there. I was going to try to see what happened on the tweet that I just did. And profile, boom. I don't know. Here we go. Tweets and replies. It doesn't tell me yet, but this will get retweeted 20 times, and it'll have 30 or 40 likes, and that's what spreads my word to other people for free. For free. That's the whole key thing.
You said the key is like, so I've got to drill down on that.
It's likability. You have to have likability. If you don't have likability, you have nothing.
How do you increase your likability?
By being friendly, by not being sticky. I have this slide deck. Like, seriously, I don't want to see a slide deck.
Yeah.
I tell people, mail your slide deck to the customer one day before the presentation and say, this is the boring part of my presentation that you probably already know about. I'm coming over for an hour tomorrow to talk about you and your needs.
Yeah.
And you'll immediately differentiate yourself and have a conversation with somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. People have forgotten how to have a conversation.
And they forgot about you're allowed to have fun. They think exactly. They need to be, I don't want a professional salesperson. I want a friendly salesperson.
Yes. Yeah. I recall a meeting that I had back. It must have been 20 years ago. And we had a slide presentation. Something went wrong, right? And she goes, the person we were with said, "Oh, what? No overheads this time?" And we're like, "Overheads, we'll give you overheads."
Yeah.
And we just did that.
Exactly.
That's all we had. It was like, and we started little like fishies or little birds. And
yeah.
She thought it was hilarious.
That's totally cool.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So Jeffrey,
I'm modern on technology, but I'm old fashioned friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. As we look at our organization, I think of our best clients. They're really have become close friends. Mm-hmm. And the best opportunities that come our way are from people that really like us, really wanted to see us succeed, and are giving us things that, quite frankly, just blow us away sometimes.
Yeah. If I have a big customer, big CEO, I have their text, and I'll text them. When my team wins, when their team wins, if something happens, I text CEOs all the time.
Yeah.
Literally every day.
It's about relationships.
Yep.
Love it. Tell us a little bit more about your organization. I know the Academy is just part of it. I know the podcast is just part of it. You've got 14 books in print.
Yes, and we have a mission statement.
Please tell us.
Sell Jeffrey, kiss ass. We don't put it on all of our literature, but everybody knows what it is. And if you call us up any time of the day or night, someone live answers the phone 24/7. There's no press one. Nobody has voicemail. We just answer the phone and help people.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that's, we only have, a dozen people working in the company, but It's enough to be able to handle 1 million people online.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. You don't need an army of people anymore. You just need an online academy to be able to accommodate who wants to learn anywhere in the world, any time of the day or night.
And who's your ideal client in that lane?
I would say my ideal client is anybody in sales or leadership, especially sales leadership or ownership. If you own a business, you most likely have salespeople. You better be one notch better than they are. So I have leadership products. I have the little book of leadership is available to any sales leader or business owner. It's not just written about sales; it's written about leadership in general. One of my mentors was the great Paul Doc Hersey, who wrote Situational Leadership, and I understand leadership at its core, from my family businesses all the way down to the people that are the great leaders and speakers in this country. So I try to start at the top, and which is my whole philosophy of sales. I want to start to talk to the CEO because he or she knows where everybody is.
Yeah. It's got to start there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Easiest place to start a sale.
Yeah.
But most salespeople want 5 minutes of the guy's time. I don't want that. I want to blog with them. I want to interview with them. I want to podcast with them, get to know their leadership style. And if they like me, they'll accept my next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. People are always, and it's funny, people are reaching out all the time. Like, hey, would you like to grab coffee? Why?
Wait, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
Coffee machine. I mean,
Okay, here's the deal.
Coffee.
Here's the deal. People will call me up and say, can I buy you lunch and pick your brain? And I say, no, I have $1,000 an hour brain picking fee, and I'll buy your lunch.
Yeah.
And we have a guy flying in to, it was in an old book that was $500 and I honored it. But people fly in to talk. It's crazy.
And what is that person going to learn in an hour?
Whatever they want. I tell them to send me a list of the things that they want to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what I will discuss during lunch. I'm not going to talk about how to raise your kid if you don't have any kids.
Right. But if he's coming in to learn about sales and building relationships, and he is taking notes and he's paying attention.
I'm going to record the talk, number one, so they don't have to take notes.
I love it.
And number two, I'm probably going to give him 3 or 4 books that he can walk away with. So he'll be able to read something on the way home. And then I'm going to talk to him about what he needs to do both in business and on a personal level that will buy back his time or her time and that will lead them to the money that they're hoping for, because that's all they care about.
Yeah. And what sort of ROI could that be? 20, 30, 50, 100 times?
Yeah. It's whatever they make it. When they leave me, they got to go to work.
Right.
And I can't go back and go, come on, Bob, you can do it. Come on, Billy. Come on, Mary, you can do it. But I can tell you that there's a lot of people that you would know right off the bat that have been here that have turned it into money.
Yeah. And when they're willing to invest and put up money to do it,
yeah,
then they're serious.
The people that are willing to invest in themselves, which is a Warren Buffett mantra, by the way, invest in yourself. It's the best investment you can make. The people that are willing to do that and step up to bat, I'm pretty sure they're going to go back and do something with it.
Yeah, I agree. Getting a hold of you, getting a hold of a company, Gitomer.com. Anything else you want to include there? GitomerLearningAcademy.com. Seller, just email sellordie@Gitomer.com and we'll get you all about the podcast. And just, go to iTunes or Overcast or anywhere that famous podcast exists, and you can find us. Stitcher, you name it. Terrific. Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining. It's a doggone pleasure. It actually has been a pleasure. You're an extremely intelligent and insightful human being, and you know how to extract information that your audience can use, and you're going to be, once you get into the video thing, you're going to go to the moon. This is the first one. I feel honored. I got your pretty face on the first one. We just finished our 500th episode on Monday. And man, this is the first one. So what a better way to kick it off with you on here. So thank you. It's a pleasure. We'll talk again soon. My people will call your people. All right. Excellent. Thanks, or we could actually communicate ourselves since we could. You have my text. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.